The forest is a blur of jagged branches and freezing mist. My lungs burn like I've swallowed hot coals, and the rhythmic thud of heavy paws behind me is getting closer. They aren't just hunting me, they're savoring the terror. My father stands in the doorway, his silver shotgun trembling in his grip. He doesn't look at the wolves emerging from the tree line. He only looks at me with a devastating pity. Run to the basement, Elara, and don't come out until the screaming stops. I press my eye to the gap in the wood, watching the shadows of massive beasts flicker against the walls. A voice, like grinding stones, demands to know where the abomination is hidden. My father stands silent, a mountain of meat and stubborn love. The first snap isn't wood, it's bone. I scream silently into my palms as my father is slammed against the stove, his blood splattering the floorboards inches from my face. They didn't come for a wolf. They came for a purge. With his final breath, my father looks toward the floorboards, his eyes filming over. You aren't just a wolf, Elara. You are the thing they fear most. The alpha of the Iron Ridge Pack crushes his throat before he can say the name. They set the cabin on fire, hoping to smoke me out like a rat. The heat is suffocating, but as the flames lick my skin, I don't blister. Something cold and oily begins to stir beneath my ribs. The basement collapse gives way, pinning me under a charred beam as the wolves howl in victory outside. I wait for the pain, but all I feel is an alien hunger. My shadow begins to stretch upward, moving independently of the firelight. It's not the crack of shifting bones that scares me, it's the silence. My skin doesn't sprout fur, it turns to a matte, obsidian smoke that feels denser than lead. I am not changing into an animal. I am becoming a hole in the world. I walk out of the burning ruins, and the wolves stop howling. Their tails tuck between their legs, and their alpha whimpers, a sound I've never heard from a predator. I look down at my claws. They are made of solidified darkness. I don't run, I flicker. One moment, I am 10 feet away, and the next, my hand is buried in a scout's chest. His blood feels cold against my skin, and for the first time in my life, I am not afraid. I can't kill them all, not yet. I melt into the shadows of the pines, feeling the forest itself recoil from my touch. The council's enforcers are coming, and I am a ghost in their woods. I reach our secret cache in the hollowed oak, but it's empty. My mother's necklace, the one thing that might explain my bloodline, is gone. I am truly alone in a world that wants me dead. Hunters fire silver-tipped bolts from the ridge above, hissing as they pass through my shadow form. It doesn't kill me, but the purity of the metal makes my new essence scream. I collapse into a freezing creek, letting the current take me. I drift past the stone markers of the no man's land, the neutral territory between the great packs. My vision is fading, and my skin is flickering between human and smoke. If I change back now, the hypothermia will finish what the wolves started. A massive hand reaches into the water and hauls me onto the muddy bank. I look up into eyes that burn like molten gold. It's Alpha Silas of the Blackwood Pack. What the hell are you? He whispers, his grip bruising my arm. I wake up in a cellar, reinforced with silver bars, the air thick with the scent of damp stone and wolf musk. Silas stands on the other side, watching me with a mixture of fascination and pure, unadulterated loathing. I am a prisoner of the most ruthless alpha in the Northern Hemisphere. You have no heartbeat, Silas says, his voice a low rumble that vibrates in my chest. He tosses a piece of raw meat through the bars, but I don't touch it. I can't tell him I don't know what I am, because he'll kill me for the uncertainty alone. Being near so many wolves is a physical assault on my senses. I can hear their heartbeats, feel their heat, and smell their fear, but mostly, I smell their hatred. I am a glitch in their natural order, a ghost in a world of flesh. A young warrior tries to poke me with a silver rod through the bars, laughing as I flinch. Without thinking, I reach out and grab the air in front of his face. His shadow detaches from his feet and wraps around his throat, choking the life out of him. Silas enters the room just as the guard loses consciousness. He doesn't shift, but his presence fills the room until the air feels heavy enough to drown in. He looks at the living shadow, then at my trembling hands. The council is coming for a trial, Elara, Silas says, leaning against the bars. They want to burn you alive to see what's left. He offers me a deal. Help him understand my power, or be handed over to the pyre. In the dead of night, he takes me to the deep woods, a heavy silver collar around my neck to dampen my strength. He tells me to shift, to show him the monster. I try to explain that the monster is the only thing keeping me in one piece. Silas reaches out to adjust the collar, and our skin brushes for a fraction of a second. A jolt of electricity slams through my spine, followed by a wave of warmth I haven't felt since the fire. His eyes widen, his pupils blowing wide. "No," he growls, stepping back as if burned. The air between us thickens with the scent of pine and ozantha, unmistakable mark of a mate bond. But wolves don't mate with shadows, they hunt them. Silas turns his back on me, his claws digging into his palms until they bleed. "I will not be bound to a freak," he spits into the dark. Every word is a jagged shard of glass cutting through my heart. The Blackwood wolves watch us from the shadows of the trees, whispering about their alpha's obsession with the prisoner. They can sense the bond, and they see it as a weakness, a stain on their pack's honor. I find Silas in the forest, staring at the moon with a look of pure agony. For a second, our eyes meet, and I see the man beneath the monster, craving the very thing he fears. He takes a step toward me, and the world goes silent. The distance between us vanishes. I can feel his breath on my lips. It's the first time I've felt human in weeks. The first time I haven't felt like a void. Then, he snarls and shoves me away, his face contorted in disgust. He drags me back to the village square in front of the entire pack. "Look at this thing," he bellows, his voice breaking. "It tries to bewitch your alpha with its rot." The pack elders gather, their faces like stone in the torchlight. They demand I prove I have a soul, or face the silver executioner. Silas stands to the side, his arms crossed, refusing to look at me. One elder strikes me across the face with a silver-woven lash. I don't cry out, but the shadows at my feet begin to boil. A voice that isn't mine whispers in the back of my head, "Let us out, little bird." I lose control for a heartbeat, and the torches all go out at once. In the absolute darkness, the wolves scream as their own shadows begin to crawl up their legs. When the fire is relit, half the pack is on their knees, trembling. The high elder points a trembling finger at me. "Voidborn, the prophecy of the Endbringer." They don't just want to kill me now. They want to erase my existence from history. I look to Silas for help, for some shred of the bond we shared. He looks me dead in the eye and speaks the words that destroy me. "I, Silas of Blackwood, reject the bond with this abomination." The rejection hits like a physical blow to my heart, a searing pain that makes my first transformation feel like a caress. I feel the bond snap, leaving a hollow, freezing hole where my hope used to be. I fall to the dirt, coughing up black ichor. They don't execute me. They cast me into the dead zone, a wasteland of salt and scorched earth where nothing lives. Silas watches from the border as I stumble away, his face a mask of cold indifference. I have never felt smaller. Days bleed into nights of agonizing hunger and the lingering ache of the broken bond. I claw at my chest, trying to pull out the phantom pain Silas left behind. I am a queen of nothing, a hybrid of a wolf and a nightmare. The shadow within me starts talking more clearly now, its voice a seductive purr. It tells me stories of the Shadow Weavers, the ancient entities that ruled the earth before the wolves were even a thought. It tells me I am not a mistake. I am an upgrade. I find an old, ruined temple buried in the salt, its walls etched with the story of my kind. We were the guardians of the veil, wiped out by the first alphas who feared our control over the darkness. They didn't hunt us because we were evil. They hunted us because we were unstoppable. I realize I don't need meat or water to survive. I feed on the fear of the small creatures that skitter in the wastes. Every time I drain a shadow, I feel my strength return, colder and more precise. I see a reflection of myself in a pool of black water. I look like a ghost. My hair has turned white, and my eyes are no longer brown, but pools of swirling violet smoke. The girl who ran from the burning cabin is dead. A bounty hunter from the Iron Ridge pack finds me, thinking I'm an easy mark for the reward. He fires a silver net, but I simply walk through it, my body turning to mist. He dies before he can even scream. I stare at his lifeless body and feel nothing. No guilt, no sorrow, just a clinical curiosity. Silas's rejection didn't just break my heart, it cauterized my humanity. I find a radio on the hunter's belt, crackling with reports from the packs. Silas is marrying the daughter of a rival alpha to solidify his power. The news should hurt, but it just feels like a distant hum. I look toward the horizon, where the lush forests of the packs begin. They think they've won because they threw me away. They have no idea that they just untethered their own destruction. I practice calling the darkness, molding it into blades, shields, and wings. I am no longer a wolf trying to fit into a pack. I am the void, and it's time to fill the world with it. I realize I can manifest phantoms from the shadows of the trees. I create a pack of my own, silent, loyal, and terrifying. We move toward the Blackwood borders like a storm cloud on the horizon. I reach the first Blackwood guard tower at twilight. I don't use claws. I simply whistle, and the shadows of the guards rise up and pull them into the earth. No blood, no mess, just disappearance. Reports reach Silas of a creeping rot taking his warriors. He thinks it's a plague or a rival pack using forbidden magic. He doesn't want to believe the girl he broke is coming back for the pieces. I find a scout who once laughed at my trial, cornering him in a ravine. He begs for mercy, citing his mate and cubs. I lean in close, my breath smelling of winter and old graves. Mercy is a wolf trait, I whisper. I leave the scout alive, but blind, his eyes clouded with shadow. Tell Silas the abomination is coming for her throne. I command. He runs, stumbling over roots, a herald of the end. For a brief second, a memory of Silas's touch flashes through my mind, making my heart stutter. I crush the feeling instantly, burying it under layers of obsidian spite. I am the Voidborn, and the Void has no room for love. The Great Council calls an emergency meeting. Realizing the Shadow Plague is targeted, they begin to mobilize every pack, 1,000 wolves against one girl. I watch them from the ridge, a predatory smile stretching my lips. I stand in the ruins of my father's cabin, the ash now mixed with snow. I realize he didn't hide me to save me from the wolves. He hid me to save the wolves from me. I apologize to his ghost before I turn toward the Blackwood stronghold. The sky turns a bruised purple as I approach the heart of the territory. I can feel Silas's presence, his fear a delicious scent on the wind. The hunt has officially reversed. I walk down the main road of the village in broad daylight, my shadow pack flickering at my heels. The wolves shift and growl, but none dare to leap. I am a living nightmare walking through their waking life. Silas emerges from the great hall, his new bride-to-be at his side. He looks at me, and I see the regret flicker in his gold eyes before he masks it with steel. You should have stayed in the waste, Elara. His best warriors charge me, a blur of fur and fangs. I don't even move my hands. The ground beneath them liquefies into black ink, swallowing them to the waist. They howl in terror as the shadows begin to drain their strength. Silas steps forward, his alpha aura flaring in a desperate attempt to dominate me. I laugh, and the sound echoes like breaking glass. Your authority is built on dirt and bone, Silas. Mine is built on the space between stars. The Alpha's bride tries to lung at me with a silver dagger. I catch her wrist and gently blow a puff of violet smoke into her face. She falls to her knees, weeping, as her worst memories play on the back of her eyelids. The younger wolves of the pack begin to lower their heads, sensing the shift in the hierarchy. They see a power that makes their alpha look like a puppy. I feel the first taste of true dominance, and it is more addictive than any bond. Silas shifts into his massive gold-flecked wolf form, his snarl a thunderclap. I remain in my human shape, my white hair whipping in the wind. I want him to see the girl he rejected as she tears his world apart. He leaps, but I catch him midair with tendrils of darkness that sprout from my back like wings. I slam him into the stone floor, the impact cracking the foundation of the great hall. He is the king of the forest, but I am the queen of the dark. Elara, stop, he wheezes, shifting back to human, his chest heaving. I did it to protect the pack. They would have killed us both. I tilt my head, watching a single tear track through the dirt on his face. You didn't protect me, Silas. You protected your crown. I press my foot to his throat, feeling the pulse of the bond trying to rekindle. I stomp on the feeling, literally and figuratively. A horn blares. The council enforcers have arrived, led by the High Elder. Hundreds of wolves surround the square, their silver weapons gleaming. Silas looks at them, then at me, realization dawning on his face. The High Elder doesn't attack me. He fires a silver bolt into Silas's shoulder. He failed to contain the asset, the Elder says coldly. Kill them both and burn the village. I look at Silas, bleeding and broken, and then at the council who slaughtered my family. My hatred for Silas is a guttering candle compared to the sun of my rage for the council. I offer him a hand, my claws retracting. Silas takes my hand, and for a moment, the bond flares white hot, fusing our energies. His golden light mixes with my obsidian shadow, creating a swirling vortex of gray power. We are a monstrosity they never prepared for. We move as one, a dance of teeth and shadow. Every time a wolf falls, their essence feeds my strength, which I funnel back into Silas. We are a closed loop of destruction, an apex pair of the apocalypse. Seeing his army decimated in minutes, the High Elder turns to flee. I reach out a hand, and the shadows of the surrounding trees elongate, forming a cage of thorns around him. He is mine. I stand over the Elder, my eyes glowing with an ancient, terrifying wisdom. Why did you kill the Shadow Weavers? I demand. He trembles, his voice a pathetic squeak. Because you were the only ones who could see what we really are. The Elder reveals that the High Council are not wolves at all, but parasites wearing wolf skin. They have been feeding on the packs for centuries, keeping them in a state of constant war to hide their own nature. The High Elder's skin begins to slough off, revealing a pale, insectoid creature underneath. The wolves of Blackwood recoil in horror, realizing their gods were monsters. I don't recoil. I just feel a grim satisfaction. I don't give the creature a chance to speak again. I close my fist, and the shadow cage collapses inward, crushing the parasite into a fine green mist. The High Council is officially on notice. I lead the remnants of the Blackwood Pack toward the Council City, a fortress of silver and stone. Silas walks at my side, no longer an alpha, but a general. He looks at me with the reverence that borders on fear. The capital is guarded by the purebloods, the elite warriors who have been enhanced by the parasites. They don't smell like wolves. They smell like rot and chemicals. I feel the void within me humming, eager to cleanse them. Stay back, I tell Silas and the pack. This isn't a battle for wolves. This is a reckoning for the gods. I let go of the last shred of my humanity, allowing the shadow to take full control. I don't just transform, I explode. A pillar of black fire reaches the sky, and from it emerges a creature 60 feet tall, made of shifting smoke and violet eyes. I am the Voidborn, and I have finally arrived. I sweep my arm, and the silver walls of the city crumble like sand. The purebloods fire their cannons, but the shells simply disappear into my mass, adding to my weight. I am an unstoppable force of nature. I shrink back down to human size to enter the inner sanctum, where the remaining council members wait. They are all in their parasite forms now, a hive of clicking mandibles and many-faceted eyes. The Hive Queen stands in the center, a towering horror of chitin and slime. She speaks directly into my mind. We created the wolves to be our cattle, but we never expected the cattle to birth a butcher. She hits me with a wave of psychic agony, showing me visions of my father's death, Silas's rejection, and a future of eternal loneliness. I stumble, my shadow flickering as the pain rips through me. Silas bursts into the room, ignoring the guards. He sees me faltering and does the one thing I never expected. He throws himself between me and the queen, taking the brunt of her psychic sting. I won't let you do it again. Silas screams, his nose bleeding as his brain melts under the pressure. The bond between us snaps back into place, but this time, I am the anchor. I pull his pain into the void, neutralizing it. With Silas as my tether to the physical world, I release everything. A wave of absolute darkness erupts from my chest, expanding outward through the entire city. It doesn't harm the wolves, but it vaporizes the parasites instantly. I walk up to the Hive Queen, who is now shriveled and dying on the floor. I place a hand on her head, and instead of killing her, I show her what she showed me, the cold, empty silence of the void. She screams until she turns to dust. The city is silent, the air clear of the scent of rot for the first time in centuries. I stand in the center of the ruins, my white hair stained with green ichor. I feel hollow, but for the first time, I am also free. The wolves of the capital emerge from their homes, looking at me with awe. They don't see a monster, they see a savior. They begin to howl, a sound that shakes the very foundations of the mountain. I find Silas slumped against a pillar, his eyes hazy but alive. He reaches for my hand, his touch tentative. Is it over? He asks, his voice a ghost of its former self. I look at him, and for a second, I want to forgive him. I want to go back to being the girl who felt warm in his arms. But the void doesn't forget, and it certainly doesn't forgive. I walk to the high throne of the council, a seat made of silver and wolfbone. I sit down, and the shadows of the room instantly drape themselves around me like a royal robe. The throne is cold, but so am I. One by one, the alphas of the great packs enter the hall and kneel. They offer their fealty, their territories, and their lives. I look at them and see only the wolves who stood by while my father died. The era of the council is over, I announce, my voice echoing in their minds. There are no more packs. There is only the void, and those who serve it. I allow the families of the fallen to return to their lands, but I keep the alphas as my advisors' hostages to ensure their pack's loyalty. I have become the tyrant I was born to destroy. Months have passed, and the world has changed. The forests are darker, the nights are longer, and the name Elara is whispered as a prayer or a curse. I sit on my throne, watching the shadows dance on the ceiling. Silas remains at my side, a man haunted by what he lost. He spends his days trying to win back a heart that I've long since buried in the salt wastes. He is no longer my mate. He is my most loyal hound. When Silas tries to touch me, I feel nothing but a faint, irritating heat. Don't, I command, my voice like a winter wind. He flinches, but he doesn't leave. He can't leave the light I provide. I am gathering other hybrids, the outcasts, the freaks who were hidden away. I am teaching them to embrace the shadow, to be the new masters of the world. We are no longer the prey. We are the evolution. I find a hidden chamber beneath the citadel containing records of the Shadow Weaver's true origin. They weren't from this world at all. They were scouts for something much, much larger. In the center of the chamber, a black stone is pulsing with a rhythmic, purple light. It's a beacon, and it's been activated by my rise to power. Something is answering the call from the deep dark of space. I touch the stone, and my mind is flooded with images of 1,000 Voidborn descending upon the earth. I realize I wasn't the end of the war. I was just the door opener. I could destroy the beacon and save this world that once tried to kill me. Or I could let them come and finally have a family that understands what I am. I look at the wolves kneeling in the hall and feel a surge of ancient spite. What did you find down there, Elara? Silas asks, his eyes searching mine. I see the flicker of the man who once loved me, and for a split second, I feel a pang of regret. Nothing but dust. Silas, I tell him, my face a mask of perfection. Go back to the barracks. The night is coming, and you'll need your rest. I begin to strengthen the city's defenses, not against the packs, but against what's coming from above. I am the only one who knows the truth, and I will be the only one standing when the sky breaks. A new star appears in the sky, brighter and more violet than the rest. The wolves howl in confusion, sensing a new kind of predator in the air. I simply watch it with a grim, welcoming smile. My hybrids are ready, their eyes glowing with the same void light as mine. We stand on the battlements, a line of obsidian against the fading sun. We are the guardians of a dying world. Silas kneels at my feet, pressing his forehead to my hand. Whatever comes, Elara, I am yours. Even if you hate me, I am yours. I look down at him and finally feel a spark of pity. I lean down and kiss his forehead, a gesture of goodbye more than affection. Then prepare yourself, Silas. The world you know is about to be unmade. The violet star reaches the atmosphere, trailing a tail of black smoke. The ground begins to tremble, and the shadows at my feet start to scream with joy. The gate is opening. I send a psychic broadcast to every living wolf on the planet. Tonight, your petty wars end. Tonight, you learn what it truly means to be hunted. A massive black monolith slams into the forest outside the city. The impact felt for 100 miles. From it emerges a creature that makes my shadow form look like a toy. It looks at the city, then it looks at me. The creature bows its head to me, a gesture of ancient respect. I realize I am not just a hybrid, I am royalty. I am the lost princess of a nightmare empire. The void within me roars, demanding a sacrifice to celebrate the arrival. I look at the cowering council wolves in the courtyard and feel no mercy, only hunger. Feast, I whisper to the shadows. The screams that follow are the most beautiful music I've ever heard. Silas watches in horror, but he doesn't move away. He is bound to me by a fate worse than death. Across the horizon, more violet stars begin to fall. The era of the wolf is over. The era of the void has begun. I stand at the edge of the balcony, my wings of smoke unfurling to their full, terrifying span. My skin turns to diamond-hard obsidian, and my eyes become twin galaxies of violet fire. I am no longer Elara, the broken girl. I am the Empress of the End. I take one last look at the scorched earth where my father's cabin once stood. I realize he didn't die for a girl. He died for a god. I hope he's watching from whatever heaven he believed in. You spent your lives making me a monster now. You have to live in my world.